Hello everybody, Crow back again with another pickups video. As you may have been able to tell from my last video, I was at the Midwest Gaming Classic, and that was in Brookfield, Wisconsin. They do that every year. And this is the items I've picked up from that event. So we'll just kind of jump right in. I mean, they had a vendor area there, and I wound up I started out there, and then went and enjoyed some of the other activities there, and then came back, and then went off, and then did more stuff. Came back, and I've been there and went there a few times. So actually, the first thing I picked up actually wasn't even from that vending area. It was actually from the kiosk at the entrance where they have t-shirts, and I got myself a t-shirt, and through the magic of video editing, you should be seeing that t-shirt I picked up now, at least part of it, at least what's on the front of it. And basically what it is it's a pinball machine, not a real one, but like a fake one. It says MGC on it, and it says the original high definition game machine, Midwest Gaming Classic. Whenever I go to an event like this, I try to get myself like a t-shirt or something like that. And this one I thought was pretty funny. Because, how do you get more high definition than real life? I mean, TV will never be able to match that. At least maybe not in my lifetime. Anyway, so I got that t-shirt. Also, a couple of items I picked up on my way out. I'm going to be kind of, not in the order I picked them up in, but more or less, non-video game items, and then the video game items. Kind of grouped by which stall I got them at. And I picked up a bunch of key rings at this one stall. These were $1 each here. Oops. And I'm dropping them all over the place. One second. So yeah, I picked up a bunch of key rings. One of them is the Duck Hunt Dog. And then we have two of them from Portal. One is the Aperture logo. And the other one is just one of those Portal logos with the guy going down into the portal hole, I guess. And the reason I was kind of interested in getting some keychains, and I was going to get keychains no matter what, some from somewhere else, is because I wanted to get them for the keys on these pinball machines. I usually was keeping them in the door and everything because I was working on them so much, but since I don't need to do that anymore, I really can put those keys somewhere else, and I would like to have separate key rings to identify them easier. So that's why I got I only really needed two, but I like the two. I like the Duck Hunt one, and I like the two Portal ones, so I wound up getting those. Those were $1 each. Now, for gaming-related stuff, first booth I went to was actually the only booth I can really remember, and that was Windy Gaming's booth. And there was a YouTuber by the name of Unleaded Logic, and I was actually following his Twitter feed, and he actually kind of made me aware of Windy Gaming before he even had a website up. And so I looked, and he had a Facebook page. I liked his Facebook page. I'm following his Facebook page. Then his store came up, and I was really surprised by how decently priced his items were. So I'm actually just kind of plugging his website now, windygaming.com, also on Facebook as Windy Gaming. At least I believe that is. I'm sure I'm going to have it listed down here. But anyway, it was the first booth I actually bought something at, and I was kind of looking through his stuff. He had Famicom games, Super Famicom games, Turbo Graphics CD games. I kind of was interested in getting some Turbo Duo games while I was there. There was really not, everything was all Japanese from what I saw, and that was everybody's booth, and I really didn't know what they were, and I didn't want to buy anything not knowing what it was. But he also had Neo Geo CD games, and I picked up one there, and it's Top Hunter, and I paid $28 for this, which I think was an excellent price. This was one of those games that when it came out, I was really interested in playing, but I never really saw it anywhere. Not in arcade. I don't know if there probably is an AES version of this. I don't know. I've really never really looked for it online, but it's cats are running through the house. But it's a side-scrolling adventure, and the guy's arms kind of stretch out to grab stuff. It kind of reminds me of... Yeah, hello. It kind of reminds me of Ristar, in a way. Though I think this game may have come out before Ristar. Actually, it's the Japanese version. I don't know if there was ever a US release for this. 1994. It may be the same year as Ristar. Who knows? But actually, it's a pretty cool game. Played it for a little while. glad I picked it up. It's great as a CD game because there's not loading times all the time like there is with Neo Geo CD fighting games. Which that's kind of my rule of thumb. For fighting games, I try to get only the AS version, but for all other games, I think the CD version is just fine. So yeah, that was the first game I picked up there. But then on my way out, I wound up back at his booth because I kind of wanted to get some Famicom games while I was there. But every booth I had, the Famicom games that I saw were either too much for me to really buy, or there was an NES version of that game that I already had. And so I said, I'm kind of looking for some Famicom games, but I want to get something I want to make sure I might like to play, or something I can even play, making sure it's not like a game that's not all in Japanese that I wouldn't be able to play. And his name's Chris. I think it's Chris. I hope it's Chris. He really helped me out. He pointed out a lot of games that he had that were, he's like, oh, you like shooters? There's this game. And then he went to help another customer, and I kind of, remembered some of the ones he picked out, but then I couldn't remember some of the other ones. So I'm going to show the ones that I actually got that I really like, actually. Let's start out with Xerion. Is it? Yeah, it's just Xerion. This game was never released in the U.S. It's a really cool shoot 'em up. It kind of reminds me of a game that would almost be like a stopgap between like the 2600 era games and the NES games. You have the ship and you're shooting down stuff. You could go move up and down, left and right. And you have two different shots available to you. You have a slower double shot, or you have like a rapid fire single shot. And while the rapid fire single shot's easier to hit stuff with, you are limited as to your supply. I mean, you earn shots by using the double shot to shoot your enemies, but if you could use the single shot, and that depletes your ammunition, as it were. It kind of reminds me of like Demon Attack in a way, the way the different the guys come at you and everything. Really cool game. Actually, the bunch of the Famicom games that I bought 5 Famicom games. This is probably my favorite of the bunch. This was $8, so I think that was an excellent price for that. Next game we got here is, let's go with this one because there's more in common. Yeah, Gyrodyne. Gyrodyne for the Famicom, another game that was never released in the U.S. Basically, kind of reminds me of a bit of Xevious. You got the top, except you're flying a helicopter. You have a shot that will that'll attack air people, your enemies that are in the air. You have another shot that'll kind of fire down at the ground for ground targets. And then I found if you hit both buttons at the same time, it kind of shoots a homing missile that'll attack ground targets. But it doesn't, home in all over the screen. It basically, if it's in the path, it'll kind of veer a little bit left or right to hit your target. It is possible to miss, but I thought it was a really cool game. Kind of has like I said, a Xevious vibe to it. So I'm really glad I got this game. It was $10. Again, I think an excellent price for this game, and that's Gyrodyne. Next game he recommended was Sky Destroyer. And this isn't actually, this is something I didn't really expect to see on the NES. Again, this wasn't again, it's a Famicom game, not an NES game. But it's a, kind of like a third-person behind the view of your plane, shooting down enemies. And I think you have the ability to bomb stuff on the ground, but while I played it, I really didn't get that chance to. I really didn't see anything to shoot on the ground. I think I may have made it past the first level. I'm not really sure. Kind of a little bit repetitive, but it is good fun. It's like in the vein of Top Gun or Afterburner. Maybe not as fast as Afterburner, and maybe not as complicated as Top Gun on the NES. But I'm glad to have this game. It was $6. So there, Sky Destroyer. And the next two games, I don't think he recommended, but I picked them up. First one I'm going to show off is Cosmic Wars. Now I picked this one up just because it looked like a spaceship shooter. I mean, you got this, the guy, the pilot. You have the spaceship. Turns out it's nothing at all like a shoot 'em up. It's actually like a strategy game. Make matters worse, this is only in Japanese, so I really couldn't make out what, any of this. I can make up with some of the selections where I know the ones that are like yes or no. I don't know what anything else means though. But after I let you could let the computer play itself, and that's what I did. I kind of watched the computer play itself, and it looks like a pretty cool game. I'm not really into the real-time strategy type games, if you can consider a real-time strategy. It's probably not real-time strategy. It's like, I think it's turn-based strategy, more or less. But you go and you build fleets, and then you attack planets. It's got really cool cutscenes. If this was in English, I could probably get into it. But as it is, I mean, it's by Konami, too. It's another thing that maybe thought it was, a shoot-'em-up. But it was only $6, and it looked pretty cool. I don't really regret picking this up, even though I probably wouldn't be able to play it. It just looks pretty cool to me. And then lastly is a game called Niji no Silk Road, and I couldn't even tell. I had to look up pictures of this game. I can't remember how I figured out what this game was. Really can't. It's a game by Victor. Oh yeah, I searched for Victor Musical Industries. And then I looked up the code of the cartridge. That's how I figured out what game this was. But it's an RPG, more or less, and it's all in Japanese. There's no way I'll be able to play it. The reason I picked this up was because my wife, she saw the cartridge, thought the guy was cute, and I looked at it thinking, hey, this looks like it's some kind of platformer. And I fell into the trap I didn't want to fall into and picked up a game I would have no ability of playing whatsoever. I mean, the footage you're looking at right now, I kind of fumbled my way through it. There were a couple of game saves on this cartridge, so I selected those as well, and kind of fumbled my way through that. No idea what anybody's saying in the game. The cartridge was $10. Now, altogether, if you were doing the math, these 5 cartridges would have cost me $40. But since I bought them in a bundle, he knocked $5 off. So I really paid $35 for those 5 NES games. All right, and that was Windy Gaming. Again, check out their website, check out his website. I think he's the only one running it, though I could be mistaken. It's windygaming.com. As I'm talking right now, the site's not back up. He closed it for the weekend, but it should be up maybe even by the time I get this video up. So be sure to check that out. Next up was actually the second thing I bought, and I can't remember, like the rest of the stuff in the shop, I can't remember what the name of the booth was, or the people running the booth. But I saw this Neo Geo game, and it was one of the Neo Geo games I was kind of interested in getting, and of course, without having to pay shipping for. And that is 2020 Super Baseball. Now, I always like calling this Super Baseball 2020, but because of the way the logo in the game is, I believe it's 2020 Super Baseball, and that's based on what I read off of GameFAQs. Under GameFAQs, it's under 2020 Super Baseball. So, except for some reason, the Genesis port of this is called Super Baseball 2020. So I really don't know. But anyway, it's I think it's the last of the baseball. I will play you later, okay? Just shh, quiet. Where was I now? Oh yeah, I think there's 3 baseball games on the Neo Geo AES, and this was the one I didn't have, and it's also the craziest of the 3, as it's not really based in reality at all. It's like in the far future of 2020, robotic baseball, where the rules have changed slightly. Yeah, wow, can you believe that 2020 is 7 years away, and then we'll get robotic baseball players? Awesome. Anyway, the rules are changed. You can only jump super high, but only in certain areas of the field. As the game goes on, they keep planting explosives around the field, so it's pretty cool. The thing that's really weird about this game, though, is as you play, as you do good, you earn money as you play. And then anytime during the game, you can take a timeout and upgrade one of your players. Now, the downside to this is, as I was playing this game, as I played the game, my team really, sucked to begin with, and I really didn't know what I was doing, so I wasn't earning much money. The computer, on the other hand, kept earning money and kept upgrading their characters, and as the game went on, I just could not come even close to scoring. I didn't, the game I played, I lost like 24-0. And the best I could do was get the bases loaded at one point. I mean, it was so ridiculous to the point to where I think it was like the bottom of the 7th inning. They gave all the players extra luck or something like that. It didn't do my characters any good. But the opponent's team they literally hit like 8 home runs in that one inning, and 4 of them were right in a row. It was ridiculous. Kind of funny though. But anyway, once I get used to this game, I'm sure it'll be a blast to play. It'll probably even more fun when you play against somebody else. So now I've got the Baseball Stars Professional, Baseball Stars 2, and 2020 Super Baseball. Really glad to have this game. And oh, $70. It was the most expensive thing I bought at the convention, if you can consider a convention. It's a convention, why not? Next game was something my wife bought, and I was gonna pass. I passed on it. I'm like, I don't know about this game. It's a Master System game, and it's Laser Ghost. And I'm like, I don't remember there being a Laser Ghost in the U.S. collection of Master System games, because that's something my wife kind of wants to aim for, is getting a complete U.S. collection. But I was right. This game isn't a U.S. game. It's a PAL game. It's a European game. But she bought it anyway. $20. Also, the thing was that the insert looked messed up. At glance, it looked like it wasn't a real insert because it was shorter. But then I took it out, and it turned out it was folded in a really weird way, to where you almost wouldn't even notice it was folded. But I straightened that out. It does have the game and the manual, but Laser Ghost is a really weird game. It's actually a light gun game, but you can also play it with a controller, as I did in the footage you're watching, because my light gun really wasn't working that well. But I guess the goal of it is to protect this girl from all the attacking stuff. I guess you are the Laser Ghost. So yeah, it's I'm trying to think. It's kind of like the game that's popping in my head is like kind of like Crossbow, where you got the character walking. In Crossbow had many characters, but you have the character walking across the screen and you're shooting all the stuff, protecting that character from all the other stuff. It's an interesting game. It does seem to be a bit wonky when it comes to, like, giving you a fair shot at attacking some stuff before it gets to the girl. But it does give you plenty of power-ups and life back at certain points if you know where to shoot. But yeah, it was kind of an interesting game. But again, a game I wouldn't have got. It was my wife paid for it. It's $20, so why not? Next game, when I saw this, I had to get it. Attack of the Mutant Penguins on the Jaguar. Now, if you've seen the Angry Video Game Nerd episode of the Jaguar, he did play this game for a little bit. He didn't say anything bad about this game, except it was crazy, and he was right. This game is crazy. It's kind of like a real-time strategy game. A type of game that I'm not really into, but this is kind of a little bit more lighthearted, I guess, more crazy. I couldn't figure out how to beat the first level. I played it like 4 or 5 times, and I just kept getting my ass handed to me by the Mutant Penguins. But I kept getting better and better, and I'm sure that if I were to look up the manual online or something like that, I'd be able to figure out how to play it. But a game kind of does lead you what you're supposed to do, but I just could not figure out what the goal was. If you're supposed to kill all the penguins, or because once you get once there are enough penguins mutantized, I guess that's when you lose the game. But what was this? This was like $18 game. So I saw it was $18. It was a Jaguar game I didn't have, and I said, I gotta pick it up. So there it is, Attack of the Mutant Penguins. Next up, this was from another booth. Saw this game, and it was a Saturn game I knew I didn't have in my collection. I knew it was a Saturn game I needed in my collection. That's Fighters Mega Mix. I guess to me this is like a staple of the a staple fighting game of the Saturn. Along with like the Virtua Fighter games, Virtua Fighter 1, Virtua Fighter Remix, I think it was, and then Virtua Fighter 2. I think everybody should have like Daytona USA. Games like Clockwork Knight. What else? Knights, I guess, if you've got maybe not so much Knights, but again, it's just one of those games I think belongs in my collection, like with Fighting Vipers, just a fighting game. And this is like what is it? It's a mix between, mainly it's a mix between Virtua Fighter 2 and Fighting Vipers. In fact, when you start out, you get all the characters you get to select from are only from those series. But there's 10 hidden characters. I'm not really sure who they all are. but I know they're from other series, perhaps. Even the Daytona USA cars in here. That's one of the reasons this game stuck out and I wanted to get as, hey, you can fight as a car in a fighting game. So I thought that was pretty cool. Haven't unlocked it yet, though. So yeah, I thought this was, worth having for, how much was it? $15. So yeah, there it is, Fighters Mega Mix. And then I saw from another booth, they were selling some 3DO games, and two of them really interested me. First up, and this was a game my wife wanted me to buy, and I almost didn't buy it because the box was kind of messed up. The box looked destroyed. But that game is Killing Time on the 3DO, and I think it has everything in here. It's kind of loose though. It's got the case, it's got the disc, it's got the manual in the case. And this was $20. Now, I said that the box looked really beat up, but I managed to fix it. What it was the way the box is put together is this. This corner is kind of glued on. And what happened was all the glue came off of it, and it looked like somebody tried to tape it on at one point, but all the tape came off of it. So the box was like all really flimsy. You could open up the box all the way and just unfold it. All it really needed was some glue. So I put some glue on there, kind of clamped it down for the night, put it back together, and just ain't coming apart again. But one of the things that's very interesting about Killing Time is that it's a first-person shooter on a 3DO, but it's got full motion video in the game while you're playing it. Now, I didn't really get to much of that in this game. In fact, I spent half an hour running around a maze shooting nothing but hunters and ducks, and then got killed at one point because I picked up something that depleted my health. So I really don't know how good the game is. I'm not talking to you right now. But it looks like it could be very interesting. You don't really see something in that style, like Doom style, that's got full motion video in the game while you're playing it. So I did think that was worth picking up, but it was really my wife that kind of encouraged me to pick it up. And again, it was $20. The other 3DO game I could not pass up for the price they were selling it was Off-World Interceptor, and that was $10. Now, I already had this on the PlayStation as Off-World Interceptor Extreme, and if you know this game, it has the cutscenes where they made fun of the cutscenes at Mystery Science Theater 3000 style, with two guys making fun of the cutscene. But what was funny was, I always thought that Off-World Interceptor, being the original version of the game, had those cutscenes without the commentary on it. But it did. Even in the corner, it says, "Get ready for a dorkathon." Okay. Yeah, get ready for a dorkathon. And for some reason, I don't know what the difference between this and the PlayStation version is offhand. The only thing I noticed right off the bat was that the FMV is a lot better on the PlayStation than it is on this. Otherwise, the game seems exactly the same. And if you're not familiar with it, you're kind of just driving your car forward, shooting other cars and picking up pickups, earning more money to build up your car and whatnot. But the real star of this game is the full motion video. It really is. That's the only reason worth having the game. It's the full motion video. But I kind of always wanted to have the original 3DO version. So I picked that up for $10. And lastly is a game I can't show you any footage of, and I'll explain why shortly. I picked up Bonanza Brothers for $2. I was looking through it and I was like, hey, Bonanza Brothers, I keep hearing about this game. I don't have it. Some vendors were selling it for, $15, $18, $12. This one was $2. And I was like, $2? How can I go wrong? I looked at it and, the cartridge and the manual look really good condition. Somebody wrote and penned their initials on both the cartridge and the manual, but that's not really a big deal, especially not for $2. The problem is I couldn't get the cartridge to work at all, as you could probably guess by the fact that I'm not showing any footage of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to seek out, I took the cartridge apart and I cleaned it. I really did. I may take it apart one more time to see if there's any broken connections or anything on it. But I popped the cartridge in and just a black screen, not even the Sega, whatever that Sega crawl is at the beginning. of every game you pop in for the Genesis. But $2, I got the box and the manual, and all I really need is a working copy of the game. And if the label's all messed up or not, then I could just swap it out for this one. But yeah, that's yeah, I'll get that sometime. I'll be looking on eBay, hopefully, for a really bad working copy of the game. But that's everything I picked up. Spent quite a bit of money, but it was fun. The whole event was fun. If you haven't seen it, check out my last video. You can see how fun it was. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. See you all next time. Bye.
Keep your eyes to yourself,
What about my hands?
I was just looking at your pooper.
or you will lose them.
Gotta go now, apparently.